Good afternoon and welcome. You're listening live to Heart-to-Heart, a program which aims to help you understand to become your loving true self. I'm Dr. Mitra Rashidian. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sexologist in full-time private practice. And I'm here along with my business partner, best friend, and colleague of 16 years. Almost going to 17 in January. Oh my God, yeah, it is. Dr. Robert Jaffe.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So we're here today to talk about some things that we've learned over a lot of years of study and practice, the goal of which is to become more loving and more joyful and to have better relationships. So today we're going to talk about what is sex therapy. And since Dr. Rashidian is a certified sexologist, she is eminently qualified to discuss that. And I've had a few courses myself, so I'll chirp in whenever it's appropriate. And we're here today, and we hope you'll find this program entertaining and fun. And if you would like to call us, we would love to hear from you. You can call us either anonymously or you can give us your first name. Our number is 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. So here we are.
Here we are after Thanksgiving, and we hope that everybody enjoyed, your COVID-19 style of Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this was hard on many family members, those that they couldn't join each other and those that they have lost a loved one, and many travel plans, happened, and many of them didn't happen because of this situation. But overall, we hope that however it happened, you at least got, joy out of it. And, it was a time to be thankful for everything that we have and all the togetherness that we have.
Indeed.
And all the blessings that we have. We have so much blessing that if we really pay attention, it's too much. And so many things that we have in life are just beautiful.
Right. And I think you said the key word, if we pay attention.
If you pay attention,
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things we don't pay attention to, and if you don't pay attention to it, it's in a way it's sort of like it doesn't exist.
Right.
And so what we have to do then is learn how to be mindful. Mindfulness is simply another way of saying paying attention.
Right.
And when we're mindful of things that we're thankful for, then it changes our energy and we become more spiritual by being in gratitude. And when we're spiritual and in gratitude, it affects not just us, but those around us. So that's what we're here to encourage you to do, and hopefully we can model that for you.
Hopefully we can, right? Okay. So you introduced our program today, which is about what is sex therapy.
Indeed.
And the reason, I selected this topic for today is because I hear from different people, right, that, they're kind of concerned and they are actually, kind of maybe afraid of the word sex therapy, right? So my clients, when they first come in, they have concerns about how this is done, right? People outside therapy, they say, you're a sex therapist. Oh my God. So how do you do that? It is as though, I have some, equipment in my hand or some machinery or something that I'm going to be using, or, this. And then one of the most frequent questions that I'm asked of is, do your clients take off their clothes?
Yes, yes. So we're here to tell you that, yes, absolutely. When you walk in the door, first thing we say is, please hang your clothes up. No.
No, come on. No, actually, that's absolutely under no condition, 100%. There is no taking your clothes off in sex therapy. There is absolutely no physical touching in sex therapy.
Well, I'm not going to say no, right? We might have them hug.
Well, the couple, yes.
Yeah, the couple.
The couple, yes. Yeah. No, I'm talking between the therapist and the client.
Right.
Right. So so let's just, start with that and put that aside, because I know that, people want to know, and I said,
yeah,
there is, it's just another form of talk therapy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just a talk therapy where we focus on the specifics of the sexual relationships, right? I mean, it's like this, people, when they get ill or feel ill, they go to their family physicians, right? And then their family physicians tell them, oh, you have gastroenterology problems, so you need to see a gastroenterologist. You have heart problems, so you must see a cardiologist, right? You have, gynecological problem, you need to see a gynecology. You have urology problem, you need to see a urologist, right?
Correct.
And this is the same thing. So you have sexual problem between the two of you, so you need to see a sexologist, right?
Right.
So that's basically, I hope that this can clarify and give a, better picture of, what exactly a sexologist, does. And so basically, if you want to talk specific with sex therapy, is a type of talk therapy that's basically designed to help individuals and couples address their medical, psychological, personal, or interpersonal factor impacting their sexual situations, impacting their sexual relationships.
Right.
Right. And then the goal of sex therapy is to help people move past physical and emotional challenges to have a satisfying relationship and pleasurable sex life.
Sounds good to me.
Right? That's about, that's about it.
That
right?
covers it.
That covers it. So what are the sexual problems that commonly, comes into this therapy session, right? The basic ones are what is known as sexual dysfunction, and I don't like to use the word dysfunction myself, but I can say, the sexual challenges, right? What makes a sexual experience kind of boring or unsatisfying or not pleasurable, right? So as long as, we take away the word dysfunction out of the equation, makes it easier for people to come forward and say, what kind of problems they have. And then the reality is, research has shown that at least 44% of women and at least more than 30% of men do experience, sexual challenges. They're not happy with their sex life. So we see that, we can say less than half of the population are unhappy.
It's a substantial number.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. 40 plus or 30 plus,
right.
That's a good amount of, statistic to look at.
A lot of people.
Lots of people, exactly. Half of the population, at least. It will be less than half of the population.
Right, less than half.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so what are some of the basic problems that couples experience, or among men, is erectile dysfunction. Right.
Right.
Low libido, that goes for both men and women. Lack of interest, that goes both for male and female. Premature ejaculation is specific to men, right? And then low confidence, that goes both ways. Lack of response to sexual stimulus, that goes both ways. Inability to reach orgasm, excessive libido, inability to control sexual behavior, distressing sexual thoughts, and then unwanted sexual, fetishes. And then the list can go on and on and on and on. These are just a few that some are specific to females, like, for example, sexual pain, right? There are a variety of reasons that a female may experience sexual pain during sex, right? And then some of them are biology, and then it's related to their physics, a specific physical structure. And then majority of it has to do with psychological reasons.
Right.
Right. And some of it has to do with sexual transmitted diseases and infections. Right.
Right.
So everybody, you know, experiences their sexuality differently. We know that sexuality is a biopsychosocial phenomenon. That means it's part biology, about 5%, and then we know it's social factors can cause the psychological discomfort.
Right.
Of course, as well as the biological part can cause, you know, psychological problems, issues with it. So any discomfort, you know, can cause low desire, can cause, you know, fear of what's going on, bring up challenges, bring up many other negative thoughts that a person may have about himself and herself.
Right. And of course, one of the biggest factors has to do with any kind of sexual abuse that the person has suffered in the past, which may or may not be consciously remembered.
Exactly.
Right. So the body, there's actually a book called The Body Keeps Score, and the subconscious mind will bring up the abuse at times when the person is having sexual thoughts, fantasies, or behaviors, and it may surprise the person because they may have consciously repressed those experiences. Some people do remember, but either way, it's important to let people know that those can be dealt with. Exactly.
I mean, you know, when people have, you know, a happy sex life, which is healthy, you know, their physical and their emotional intimacy, you know, kind of grows together, it becomes a very good experience. And this experience, the wellness of, you know, of sexual relationship is essential to the overall well-being of a person. Right. And many people, because due to, you know, cultural factors, societal factor, imposed messages, and, you know, the do's and don'ts, and what they believe is sexual versus what the actuality of sexuality is, you know, they have their own misconceptions and their own beliefs that they only become, you know, more challenging. They bring more challenges to their sex life and to their relationships. Right. So that's where the, you know, sexologist comes in. That's where the sex therapy, you know, comes in. So as you can see, you know, we've been doing lots of talking and lots of information gathering, and basically, you know, sex therapy is a deep therapy. It's a much deeper therapy than other forms of therapy. So we just got the cue that, you know, our commercial break is coming up.
Indeed.
And then when we come back, let's find out who is a sex therapist.
And also, I think when we come back, we'll talk more about what a common problem is and how we go about helping them, right?
Yes, exactly.
Sounds good.
See you after commercial break. Join us. Thank you. Welcome back from our commercial break. Dr. Mitra and Dr. Robert here at Heart-to-Heart program at KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio. If you're just joining us, we're talking about what is sex therapy today. And please call us, share your perspective about what is sex therapy and what it means to you. 951-922-3532. And also, please introduce this program to those that you believe they can benefit from. We also take private, you know, calls if you don't wish to share your questions or comments online. We understand that. And you can also visit us at heart-2-heart.online/YouTube. And we have some free downloads information for you over there. So we talk about what is sex therapy. Basically means to go over the challenges that a couple or individuals experience in their sexual lives. And we talked about there is absolutely no physical touch. There is nothing that, it's just a talk therapy. That's all there is, right? Now, I understand in some other states, and not in California. In California, 100% we don't have such a thing. It's called sex surrogate. But those sex surrogates, it depends on the state law and the level of training that those people have. And they are used, their expertise are used in very, very significant circumstances as part of sex therapy. For example, for those who have, significant amount of physical disability.
Right. Yeah, physical
Right.
disability or significant fears.
Or significant fears,
yeah,
yes.
And so the sex surrogate's job is to basically help the person in a physical way overcome their fears.
Their fears, yes. So, and then the law of California doesn't allow that service to happen in here. Right. And I don't know which states they actually have it. I don't know about that. So with that, we're coming to the topic of who's a sex therapist. So a sex therapist, somebody like me, myself, right, can be a psychiatrist, can be a psychologist, can be a marriage and family therapist. Right. So that, we are specifically trained in sex therapy methods, which this training is beyond the minimal amount of training level that, at university, when we go through our graduate school, we do take some human sexuality classes.
Correct.
But that's not enough training and information to qualify us as sex therapists, right? So to do that, after we graduate, actually, we need to go through other forms of educations and other forms of training. And it takes, a good amount of experience and training in order to be qualified to be as one. For example, one of the ways that I became qualified to become a sexology was through my own research work in human sexuality and sexual health, right? Which it took for me probably the entire my PhD and my postdoc, and ever since then, still I'm, training and working and, trying to stay at top of all the, sex-related research. And, and I have provided workshops. I have participated in local and global seminars. You and I have done that, some of them together. So then, and for each of them, we had to go through a massive amount of learning and updating and, publications. So it takes
dedication.
Dedication, really, and having passion and compassion to wanting to take, it's not just an extra mile, it's extra many miles in order to understand people's experiences. Right. In order to be able to attend to such a sensitive topic and make couples feel safe to open up about what are their challenges. Right.
And of course, one of the things that you commented on was it's a biopsychosocial phenomena.
Right.
And the biology, you said, is about 5%. The psychology is a percentage, but the social part of it is quite a bit.
Yes.
And that's because of all the messages that we get about what it means to be male and what it means to be female, and how we're supposed to feel and how we're supposed to behave and what's okay, the do's and don'ts of sexuality that we grow up with that affect our ability to be our loving, authentic, true sexual selves.
Exactly. Yes. And I like to say this before I forget, as part of sex therapy, we always work very closely with family physicians, gynecologists, urologists, cosmetic surgery, and then those that they provide, it's a form of a massage therapy that helps with the pelvis relaxation, right? So those happens, during a special situation. Not everybody is qualified for that. However, the reason we work with physicians that I mentioned is because we want to make sure that we are ruling out any organic causes that may exist.
Right.
Right.
And although generally, as you said, it only accounts for about 5%
well, that's significant.
of the problems.
Yes.
5% is still 5%, and
Yeah.
if you're one of the 5%, that's 100% for
right.
you, right?
Yes. So a sexologist knows more about anatomy and the function of the genital than average therapist, right? So we have some level of knowledge in medicine, and as a sexologist, we learn about medicine, anthropology, psychology, sociology, and so all these aspects, they require their own specific trainings, right? And then, of course, somebody like me, I got myself into research because I realized there is so much more to learn, and I'm still learning.
Well, yeah, and this is something also we encourage all of our clients to do,
right.
which is to be a lifelong learner. And what I say to my clients is, and these are the people that I see who are in relationships, I say, if your relationship isn't growing, I said, it's going to at some point become boring, dull, and stagnate.
Right.
And so what do we mean by growing? We mean learning new things about ourselves that have in all ways, and includes our sexuality. That our sexuality is not a thing. It's a process that continues to grow as we ourselves continue to change and grow and learn new things about how we operate and what we want and our sexual fantasies and many things.
Yes. And, like you said, sexual fantasies and many other things. So sex therapy is not just limited to, what's going on between two couples about, for example, reaching orgasm or having, a low desire versus high desire or no desire. So that's some of the common experiences. There is more to human sexuality. We're looking at bisexuals. We're looking at different sexual orientations. We're looking at sexual transmitted infections, sexual transmitted diseases, right? We're looking at providing massive amount of educations to couples about their sexuality because so a sex therapy also needs to be an educator.
Right.
And the reason for that is because many people, they learned about their sexuality only through experiences that they have. And usually formal education is not available at most places.
Right. So perhaps you can maybe comment on what happens if people come in and let's say they're complaining about lack of desire.
Right.
Let's say how do we go about beginning to treat that?
Well, definitely a significant background, assessment is needed, right? So from both parties, we say that, when the problem started, how the problem started, when they noticed the problem started, when they actually were able to acknowledge that they have low desire or different level of desires together. And then we definitely, through that initial assessment, which can take more than a few sessions, by the way, right? So people think that, on the first session, we can give an assessment and a diagnose and a cure, and that's it, right? But it doesn't work that way. So we look into the, history of individuals, whether they have had any kind of unpleasant experiences early on in life, how sexual messages within the family of origin have been discussed, or how much affection and love and sense of safety and trust was available around them, and they felt it or not. And so how did they learn about their sexuality, right? At what age, and what did they do with that learning? And then when they first time felt sexual towards somebody, and whether masturbation has been involved or not. So there is so much question that we need to ask in order to grasp a person's, understand a person's experience that led them to having low to no sexual desire, right? Because, low sexual desire in particular is not a physical concept. It's mostly, it's psychological, that manifests itself in not having a desire to have sex, right? Fear of having sex. We have so many conservative families that, they kind of prohibit everybody in the family member to talk about sex at all. I have had, many clients that, the first thing they tell me is, so how did you learn about your sexuality, especially female clients? And they say, oh, I didn't. Oh, nobody in their family, their mom, their dad, or they don't even talk to their female, siblings about, sexual feelings and experiences. So if they don't have it, if they never had it, and now they are at the age where they can be sexually active, they just don't know how to relate with that, right? So early sexual messages that we receive, sexual education, that means don't do this, don't do that, sex is bad, sex is taboo, a proper girl won't talk about sex, you gotta stay virgin until you get married. And believe it or not, we have these messages these days, and we think just by looking at media, sex is not an open topic to discuss. It is open topic on the media, to a degree that it is in a wrong way actually, but among majority of family members is not a topic that commonly is used or even seldom is being discussed. And if it is discussed, it's all about inhibition of it. Not about educating about sexuality. So these are all the questions that we ask. And then, we also want to know if they have had any sexual abuse or have witnessed a sexual abuse, or if they have, basically, I forgot my word.
That's okay. Well, I would add that, if they've been exposed to any kind of pornography.
Pornography, yes.
Because pornography, especially when a young person sees pornographic images, it can affect their idea about what sex is.
And even if they have seen their parents having sex.
Right. A lot of children, hear their parents having sex and don't really understand it, or sometimes they're even frightened by it.
Yes, and they ask their dad, "How come you were hurting mommy last night?"
Yeah, exactly.
What did she do?
Yeah.
So, we hear all of these. So these are some of the basic questions that we basically go through, and then depending on each answer that we receive, so we kind of go even deeper. What exactly means to say that? What exactly happened when that happened? When so we have some basic general questions, right? And then depending on each question, and everybody has a different story. It's a unique story. Based on that uniqueness, we open the door for more exploration and further assessment to understand why a person develops, low sexual desire. And at the same time, we ask the individual to see their family to make sure that their hormone levels are appropriate at the level that it needs to be.
You mean to see the physician?
Physicians, yes.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's a low testosterone, whether it's a low female hormone, we don't know. Those are among the 5% that we're talking about. Right. So we want to make sure that we have a complete, psychosocial assessment, psychosexual, assessment, and then psychosocial sexual assessment. And so once we have all the information available, it is only then that we can determine where to go next and how to start helping the individual to understand why they have low sexual desire, and then what to do about it.
A treatment plan.
A treatment plan, exactly. So majority of the time, there needs to be worked with a couple together, right? There are times where we see each member, separately, individually. We go through the issue of no secret policy. Sometimes it's safe to share. Sometimes really it's not safe to share, right? What they say. However, we help each person to find a way to talk about their difficulty of communicating with each other, in order to resolve the issue. And then we know that when couples come here and talk about relationship issue, for sure they have sexual problems with together. And if they're coming here for sexual problem together, we know that they have a relationship issues as well. So one is not separate from the other one.
Now, what would you say to someone who says, well, actually, we're here because we don't communicate well, but our sex is great?
Well, that's a very interesting, topic. So sex happens in order to kind of shut down the communication,
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is a very, good question to open up. And we have had some clients like that, and so after we come back from commercial break, let's discuss this further.
Sounds good. We'll see you soon.
See you after commercial.
Inviting you to join my addiction recovery seminar every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. See you there.
Welcome back from our commercial break. Heart-to-Heart program at KMET 1490 AM, ABC News Radio. Dr. Robert and Dr. Mitra here talking about what is sex therapy. Our phone number here to join us live is 951-922-3532. We are also welcoming your phone calls privately and your email if you have any questions. So, Dr. Robert, you asked me a question before commercial break, right?
Yes, and the
People
question.
are.
The question. I'll just reiterate the question,
Right.
which was, so what do you say to somebody when a couple comes in and they say, actually, we're here because we don't communicate well, but our sex life is great?
And depends on how they define what is great to them. Right? So what is great to one couple totally is different from another couple to the next one, right? And usually when they say our sex life is great, is because they are looking at goal-oriented sex relationship. And goal-oriented sex relationship means they're looking to have, hot orgasm, right? And people usually have learned that the reason they have sex is because of the orgasm, right? So the orgasm is the end part of their sex episode, which usually doesn't last for long either, right? And just because they have that, then they think, oh, well, so we are fine together, right? Where in fact, we see that in other areas of life, they suffer a lot. They suffer in their communication, they suffer in their activities. There is no romance, there is no intimacy, there is no connectedness, there is no spiritual connection, right? So those are the elements that they experience that, they're not happening. But they say, but how come we are having, hot sex, right? And that's what brings them in. The reality is sometimes, goal-oriented sex, such as, focusing on orgasm, doesn't allow people to look at their actual problems, right? There is no foreplay, there is no afterplay in, goal-oriented sex. There is no talk about each other, there is no closeness. Couples don't know how to interact with each other except sex, right? So then, when life is based on just having an orgasm here and there, from time to time, that's not, why people stay together. That's not why they get married to each other or why they are a couple. There is so much more to life that brings the two people together, right? And that's their intimacy, that's their deep level of profound level of understanding of each other, getting each other, right? Their level of friendship, their level of trust that they have towards each other. And once those elements are missing in a relationship, a couple feels it, right? So the relationship is not just about hot sex, having hot sex. The relationship is about having all of that, all of it collectively together. And actually, having an orgasm in a healthy relationship, healthy, loving, intimate relationship, it's a bonus. It's not mandatory. It's not what most people are looking for. Most people are looking for the intimacy between them. And then once they are in, and intimacy to me, what I have learned about it collectively from my own experiences, educations, working with clients, being intimate together is actually, it's a 24/7 phenomena, right? It's not like, okay, you're no longer intimate because you just had orgasm with each other and then gone until the next time, right? Is not setting a time to have sex. Okay, tonight we're gonna have sex. Get ready, right? That's not intimacy, right? So once that intimacy happens, and then of course it takes a lot to develop that level of closeness together, 24/7, to just have it, feeling love towards each other, being loving to each other, wanting to be with each other. That needs to go on even when people are not having sex, right? And then once that develops, once that their sex automatically happens, and even happens at a much hotter level, at a much deeper level, at a much deeper connecting format of, level. And then the orgasm at that level becomes the ultimate that most people are looking for, right? So just having hot sex doesn't mean that people have good relationship. As you mentioned, we get clients like that they're coming and they're wondering how that works. I actually have a couple right now like that their sex life, they have no problem, right? At the peak time of their fight, they can have sex and have orgasm, right? But they can't stand each other after that. So and then they say, so if
so basically they have to stay in bed in order to get along.
Well, that's the thing. It can't even last more than 5 minutes for them, and they can't stand each other. And they just don't understand what happens. But now that we have opened the situation, there is a lot going on each side individually. And there are so many expectations that they have not been met. There's so much, unmet desires that they have had in their family of origin, and they think that 5-minute sex is going to take care of it all for them. And we know that that's not. You and I know that better.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
You answered it. You answered it. Yeah.
Do you wish to add anything to it?
Well, I mean, I think people can also have hot sex and be very, good at it, and they can spend time pleasuring each other, and they can spend a long time pleasuring each other, and usually does end in orgasm for both of them. And so I think if that's not a problem, then I think great.
Yeah, if that's not a problem, that's great.
Yeah. But
that's the type of relationship they want.
But unless they are having a problem, they're not usually going to seek therapy, right?
Yeah.
So something is going on, and it's our job to uncover and discover what is working and isn't working for them, and then to applaud what is working and to strengthen that, as well as to uncover and help them understand and overcome whatever isn't working for them.
And that's a very good point you made, because there are couples that they actually have the tools within them to work out through their problems, but they're not aware of it. They usually are not looking at the strong parts of their relationship. They're only focusing on what is not working for them.
Yes.
So some of them, they actually come in with the tools already available. Right? And then when we point those out, they just become surprised, and they never thought of what they had as a strong.
Yes.
right? And some of them are distracted because of their daily, and responsibilities, professional responsibilities, and they forget what brought them together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very important information. What brought them together initially, still is there, except that they forgot to work on it.
Yeah, and that happens quite frequently when couples have children.
Right.
And when they have children and the child becomes the number one priority, which the child has to be certainly at the very beginning, and really for quite a while. Not only does the child become the number one priority, the child usurps any other priorities.
Right.
So there isn't a number two priority. They don't have their relationship as a top priority, even though it may be number two now because they have children. But they forget that it still has to be a priority, and so other things like work, socializing, things like that become a priority, and the relationship doesn't flourish, and they can't understand why.
Exactly. And I like to add to what you said, and I think the keeping relationships flourish all the time, and it's not just important within sexual relationship, it's not just important within marriage, it's also important among people that we care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can assume just because we care about a person that that person is going to accept that, understand that, enjoys it. If we don't work on it, if we don't show it, if we don't plan for togetherness,
Mm-hmm.
right, at any level that two people are, right, it will gradually fade away.
Yes.
And sometimes even suddenly fades away.
Mm-hmm.
And leaves nothing but big emotional scar of disappointment. What happened? There are people that they say, what did I do wrong? What did I, what is it my fault? How did this happen? And of course, for a variety of emotional factors, they don't check with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But intimacy is not just about sex. Intimacy is a factor that people develop between themselves.
And I use the euphemism of intimacy as in to me see. See into me.
See into me.
And that's,
yes.
I think, what people long for, really,
Right.
is someone really seeing into that person,
right.
and saying, I can see your soul, and I love and accept what I see.
Exactly. So that within different forms of relationship, has its own understanding and has its own, experience,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether we are romantic partners, whether we are just friends, whether we are I don't know, something in between, or just two people that we know, and we just need to understand that intimacy keeps the relationship going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always about having hot sex, really. And then how to have even that hot sex is by itself, it's a big dilemma for many people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what we do, when we have a client, if you want to continue with that topic, we go over, many issues, such as whether they are concerns about, sexual desire or arousal. We talk about some of that. Whether they are concerns about sexual interest or sexual orientation. We are also looking at the impulsive or compulsive sexual behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're also looking at, whether somebody has, an affair and what caused the affair, right? In my experience of working with affair is a consequence of what's so many negative emotional feeling that one person has within their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's a big aspect that I have faced
right.
with it myself. And then there are people who have affair just because. I mean, it's not always about, we don't always have a valid reason for affair.
Well, I don't know that I see that. I think that there is always a reason why people are having an affair, and a lot of times that reason is hidden from that person.
Yeah.
That the
Yeah,
person, the
negative
person
emotions, yeah.
well, the person doesn't understand what's going on unconsciously or subconsciously.
Right.
And maybe the person doesn't care. Maybe the person, wants to do that and is going to do that. But if that becomes problematic in the relationship, and then the person isn't interested in why, usually it means that the person has one foot out the door.
Right. And then when we're talking about affair, we're not, people automatically go in the mind of that, oh, men are having an affair. But I have to say that these days, women are not behind men. They also have their own affair. And actually, we see that the rate of affair has increased significantly among women, too. So,
and what do you attribute that to?
Women are more able to understand their problems and talk about their sexuality. They're recognizing their sexual needs. However, they are not at the place to resolve it, but instead, just like men, that they pick another partner, they do the same thing. So
yeah,
it's recognizing problem without doing something proper for it. So
yeah. And oftentimes people, when they do have the affair, then they have the problem of keeping the secret. And then how is keeping the secret going to affect your relationship? Is that going to interfere with your relationship? And I got to say, knowing about the subconscious, it always does.
Yes.
Yeah, it always has to affect the relationship, whether the secret is out or not. Especially if the person is not sociopathic and the person has some guilt about it, then that's going to come out in some way.
Yes, right, exactly. So other areas that we work on, we talk about erectile functioning and ejaculation problem, premature ejaculation. We talked about difficulty with sexual arousal, problem with orgasm, painful intercourse, and definitely, intimacy issues. So we hope that you enjoy our program for this week, and we can talk about this more so the next time. There is so much to say. However, at this point, I'd like to not only thank you for joining us today, I'd like to invite you to join us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for another episode of Addictions, Relationships, Trauma, and Codependency with Dr. Robert Jaffe, and next Thursday for another episode of Sexual Health with myself and with Dr. Robert Jaffe. And until then, don't forget that all you need is love.
All you need is love.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye-bye.
KMET Banning.
From ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. The CDC is predicting up to 329,000 deaths from COVID-19 by the week ending December 26th. And now states are urging residents to do what they can to slow cases and record hospitalizations.
Not ruling out more restrictions, but saying she wants to support the state's economy. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer urges folks to wear masks, distance, and wash hands.
The science is settled.
Mentioning his wife, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine.
This week, Fran and I lost another friend to COVID.
Ohio State University epidemiologist Dr. Nora Colburn.
Nurses, physicians, respiratory therapists, and other staff are burned out and stretched thin.
Vice President Mike Pence.
We expect to be shipping COVID-19 vaccines within 24 hours of approval,
which could come from the FDA next week. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is rolling out a new stay-at-home order dependent on hospitalization numbers.
Regions where the ICU capacity is falling below 15%. We are now mandating that we are implementing a stay-at-home order.
Newsom says 4 of the state's 5 regions will meet that threshold in the next day or so. Congress is inching toward voting on another coronavirus relief bill. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Compromise is within reach. We know where we agree. We can do this.
One of the plans being considered is a $908 trillion bipartisan proposal. President Trump has signaled he's on board with it. President Trump's allies are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse the state certification of the 2020 election. They claim state lawmakers didn't legally pass a measure to allow for universal mail-in voting. A National Park Service video of a White House tradition released to the president and the First Lady lighting the national Christmas tree. There was no ceremony this year due to COVID concerns. You're listening to ABC News.
Modern modernization today has the products you need to modernize your workplace, like the Neuro Tiara. Upgrade your brain to the ultimate data management tool by simply deleting less critical information.
Childhood erased.
At CDW, we get a Neuro Tiara won't modernize your data. You need hybrid cloud data services from NetApp that simplify management and accelerate digital transformation to help unleash the full potential of your data. NetApp and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/NetApp.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now.